You're on a date, it's going well, you're smart, you're witty, you have interesting things to say, and you can feel the exact moment it happens. The shift, the moment the other person's eyes glaze over just a little, the moment you realize you've said something too smart, too insightful, and suddenly you're not a potential partner anymore. You're a textbook, you're a lecture, you're a lot of work. And you go home and you think to yourself, that's exactly what happened. I was too much. My name is Gilk, and I spend way too much time thinking about why we want more when someone is unavailable. If you're someone who wonders why sometimes pretending you don't know is the most intelligent thing you can do, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if this video helps you. Look, we've all been sold a lie. The lie is that in the marketplace of love and attraction, more is always better. More intelligence, more success, more ambition. We're told to be the best, the sharpest, the most accomplished person in the room. But here's the thing. That's terrible advice. It's advice that will get you a lot of respect, a lot of admiration, and a lot of lonely nights. Today, we're not talking about being dumb. We're talking about selective intelligence. It's the art of knowing when to show your full hand and when to play a pair of twos. It's the most misunderstood and therefore the most powerful tool in modern dating. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand not only why it works, but how to use it to save your heart and your dignity. Let's start with a number that should shock you. A 2018 study published in the journal Intelligence by Gilles Gignac found that, on average, the most sexually attractive IQ level is around 120. That's the 90th percentile. It's smart, it's significantly above average, but here's where it gets really interesting. For every point above 120, the perceived attraction decreases. Let me repeat that. Being too smart is a measurable turnoff. This isn't an opinion, this is data. People don't want a genius, they want someone who is smart enough. They want the Goldilocks of intelligence, not too hot, not too cold. And most of us, especially if you're watching a video like this, are probably running way too hot. So what's going on here? Why do we say we want a partner who is intelligent, but our primal brains react with anxiety and distance when we're faced with it? The answer lies in two psychological principles: cognitive load and perceived threat. First, cognitive load. A relationship with someone who is constantly operating at a genius level is frankly exhausting. Every conversation feels like a test. Every debate feels like a dissertation defense. It requires a huge amount of mental energy to keep up. Think of it like this. You enjoy a good workout, right? It feels good to be challenged. But you don't want to live at the gym. You don't want every single moment of your day to be a CrossFit competition. That's what dating someone significantly more intelligent can feel like. It's a constant, low-level stress. Second, and this is what most people don't realize, is perceived threat. When you're with someone who is demonstrably smarter than you, it can trigger deep-seated insecurities. Am I good enough? Do they look down on me? Will they eventually get bored and leave me for someone on their level? A 2019 study, also by Gignac, found that people tend to overestimate their partner's intelligence by about 7 IQ points. We want to believe our partners are smart. It makes us feel good, but we want to believe they're a little bit smarter, not a different species altogether. When the gap is too large, that admiration turns into intimidation. It becomes a threat to our own ego. Now, you might be thinking, so I have to pretend to be an idiot? I have to dumb myself down to find a partner? No, absolutely not. That's not intelligence, that's just insecurity. It's about understanding that the person who has all the power in a negotiation is the one who listens more than they talk, the one who asks questions instead of just providing answers. This is selective intelligence. It's not about hiding your intelligence, it's about deploying it strategically. It's about shifting from being a performer to being a selector. Let me tell you a story. I have a friend, let's call her Anna. Anna is brilliant. She's a surgeon, top of her class, saves lives for a living, and for years, her dating life was a disaster. She'd go on dates, and being a surgeon, she'd talk about complex medical cases, the politics of the healthcare system, the latest research in cellular biology. She wasn't showing off, she was just being herself. But date after date, she'd get the same result: the polite nod, the wow, that's fascinating, and then the slow fade. The guys were impressed, but they weren't attracted. She was frustrated. "Do I have to pretend I don't know things?" she asked me. And I said, "No, you have to change your goal. Your goal on a first date isn't to prove you're smart. Your goal is to figure out if they're interesting." So we tried an experiment. On her next date, she made a rule for herself: for the first hour, she was only allowed to talk about her job in the most basic terms possible. "I work in a hospital. It's challenging but rewarding." That's it. Instead, she focused all of that brilliant analytical energy on the guy across the table. She asked him about his work, his hobbies, his family. She listened. She asked follow-up questions. She used her intelligence not as a spotlight on herself, but as a flashlight to illuminate him. And here's where it gets really interesting. The guy, who was an architect, started talking passionately about his designs, about the challenges of building materials, about the philosophy of public spaces. He lit up. He felt seen. He felt fascinating. At the end of the date, he said to her, "You are one of the most interesting people I have ever met." She had barely said anything about herself. By being selectively intelligent, she didn't just make him feel good, she made him reveal himself. She was able to assess his character, his passion, his intellect, without ever getting into a credentials measuring contest. She switched from being the product on the shelf to being the discerning customer. They've been married for 3 years. This isn't just a female strategy, by the way. This works for men, too. How many brilliant, successful men go on dates and talk endlessly about their portfolio, their company's valuation, their strategic acquisitions? They think they're signaling value. What they're actually signaling is, "My personality is a spreadsheet." So why does this work so powerfully? It comes down to a psychological concept called knowledge hiding. Research by Venz and Shoshin in 2022 found that playing dumb or strategically withholding information can be a form of emotion-focused coping. When we feel stressed or overwhelmed, like on a first date, pretending we don't know the answer is the quickest, most efficient way to reduce our own anxiety and regain a sense of control. It's easier than lying or evading. It's a mental shortcut. When Anna stopped feeling the pressure to perform, she relaxed. And when she relaxed, she became magnetic. So how do you do this? How do you put selective intelligence into practice without feeling like a fraud? Here are 2 actionable steps. Step 1, the 80-20 rule of conversation. For the first few dates, your goal is to have the other person talking 80% of the time. You talk 20% of the time. Your 20% is not for monologues. It's for asking insightful questions. Use your intelligence to formulate questions that can't be answered with a yes or no. Not, "Do you like your job?" but "What's the most unexpectedly difficult part of your job?" Not, "Do you like to travel?" but "What's a place that changed the way you think about the world?" This puts you in the driver's seat. You are guiding the conversation. You are gathering data. You are in control. Step 2, the help me understand reframe. When your date talks about something you know a lot about, your instinct is to jump in and show that you're an expert too. Resist this urge. It's a trap. Instead, use the phrase, "help me understand." For example, if they're talking about a political issue and you're a policy expert, don't say, "Well, actually, the 1994 bill stipulated." Say, "That's interesting. Help me understand your perspective on that." This does 2 things. It validates their opinion, which makes them feel good, and it gives you crucial information about how they think, what their values are, and whether they're open-minded or dogmatic. You learn far more by listening to their flawed argument than by delivering your perfect one. Now, look, the world is full of smart, successful, and single people who are wondering why their impressive resumes aren't translating into happy relationships. It's because they're playing the wrong game. They're trying to win a debate when they should be trying to build a connection. Your intelligence is a powerful tool, but it can be destructive if you don't know how to handle it. Selective intelligence is about learning that control. It's about realizing that true confidence isn't about proving how smart you are. It's about being so secure in your own intelligence that you don't need to put it on display. You can afford to be quiet. You can afford to listen. You can afford to let someone else have the spotlight because you know that the real power belongs to the one holding the light. Stop trying to be the most interesting person in the room. Be the most interested. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below.